So I got a request to do a tutorial on how I'm running some of these FLUX ComfUI workflows within Think Diffusion. Now you can run FLUX and ComfUI on your local computer for free if... Hold on. Alright, as I was saying, you can run Comfy and Flux on your computer for free if your computer is a beast, which, you know, mine's pretty cool, but it was struggling. Like, I tried, and it was fine for doing, like, you know, Stable Diffusion, XL, mostly, but when I tried to do Flux, even if I did like the reduced down quantized version and all that stuff, I could get it to work, but it would take a long time and I would hear the little fan bzzz, buzzing. So I kept doing it for a while, but eventually I uninstalled it and wasn't using it. But anyways, that's why things like Stable Diffusion can be helpful, because it's browser based, it's a virtual machine. There's other virtual machines out there, but this one has a bunch of tutorials. It's got multiple machines. There's one thing I like on there where you've got like a file structure where you can preload the files before you actually start renting the machine. So anyways, let's jump right in it. All right, so we're gonna head on over to the thinkdiffusion.com site, and then you click on Learn. And from there, you will see so many tutorials, and they're really good. Even if you're not using the Think Diffusion platform, like their virtual machines, I highly recommend coming here and checking out some of these great tutorials. So we're going to go ahead and jump right into this one, consistent character creation with Flux, because this is the one I was asked to make a tutorial on. Now, as you see here, there's a very thorough tutorial, but I'm going to kind of explain how to use this in Think Diffusion. And then also I added a little bit to it to put my custom LoRA in there. And training a custom LoRA is kind of a whole separate thing. So we might do a separate tutorial on that, but let's just follow here. As you scroll down on this, you'll see there's some very useful files for you to download. One of them is your JSON, and your JSON files are kind of going to be like your saved files for your workflow. So if you've done anything with Comfy, or if you've seen any pictures of it, kind of like this with all these, you know, connections and nodes and whatnot, those are your workflows, that whole order of thing, and you can save them, you can export them as a JSON file, and then you can just drag those into Comfy, and then it'll pull in that workflow. Now, when you do that, though, you're going to have a lot of things missing. You're going to get all these messages that are saying, hey, you're missing this node, you're missing this model. Okay, so that's where the next step comes in. Before you launch your virtual machine, if you're using a virtual machine, if you're not doing this locally, before you do that, you're going to want to come down here and make sure that you grab all this stuff and put it in the right place. Now, I've been told that at some point, hopefully, Think Diffusion will have like preloaded machines with all the stuff ready to go, and you can just jump right in. But for now, you're going to want to come down here and you're going to want to find all these things. And fortunately, they've put the path right here where you can find them pretty easily, and they tell you where to drop them. So let's head on over to my Think Diffusion account, and you can see I can come here. I can select my machine. Today we're talking about Comfy, but there's lots of options. But let's stick with Comfy. You can select what speed you want. You know, it's going to be different rates. Now keep this in mind though. I like to go budget, right? And I like to stretch the resources. So part of me would be tempted to go with this. However, you're being charged by the time. So like if the machine runs faster, and you're moving quickly, it might be worth it to go for the higher rate. I mean, I guess it depends on how you're looking at it. Now, if you're spending a lot of time like moving nodes around and customizing, then you're paying for all that, because once the machine starts, you're paying like by the minute. So for me, from my perspective, I want to minimize that time as much as possible and then just go ahead and use the ultra mode. That's my preference. And one way to minimize the time that your machine is running is you can come over here to your My Files and do all of the My Files stuff, putting all the things in the right place, as the tutorial explains. But you do that before you start your machine. So you'd come over here to your ComfUI folder, and I don't know that you're going to be able to see this folder unless you start Comfy once with your machine. So what you could do, I guess you would have to come over here. In that sense, just because you're trying to get it to recognize that you're going to be using Comfy, I would come here, I would do the cheapest version, and then I would say launch, and that's fine. It's going to refund you whatever time you don't spend, so I'm not worried about that. And it does take some time to launch your virtual machine. And you can launch multiple machines at once, which is pretty fun if you're just really trying to crank out outputs and you've already got everything all set up. You could have a bunch of machines going, throw your JSON on there, your workflow, and just have them all running, and that's how you can get through a lot really fast. They also have a Discord, which is cool. They've been pretty responsive. I'm pretty new to Think Diffusion. I'm not super familiar, but I'm starting to learn, and I have found the Discord to be pretty helpful. Like last night, I was really starting to dive into it, and I was having some issues. And so if you go to the Discord page, you can see there's a lot of different things you can check out. If you go to the help desk, that's where I went, and I just typed in, my issue, um, and like what I was trying to figure out, and they could respond there. So if you're familiar with Discord, that'll be easy for you. If not, it's very straightforward. It's just like a forum where you can read stuff and ask questions, etc. All right, let's jump back over to our virtual machine, and once it's up here. After that, if it hadn't already been populated in your files, you should have a new folder that I'll just open this up in this other browser that will show. Cool, yeah, you're using ComfUI. Here's a folder structure. Okay, so once you've done that, oh, there it is. So you might have to, put like 1 or 2 minutes on your virtual machine's clock just to get that folder over here. And you can see it's just like a standard default workflow. Um, and we'll dive into that more later. But let's say I wanted to import my other workflow. Um, you would just go to your workflows folder, wherever you've saved that on your computer. That is up to you. But here's the Think Diffusion consistent character one, and you could really just drag it and drop it, whoop, and then it populates here. Now, what you could do, and this is the easiest way to get the nodes in there, is you just come over here to Manager while your machine's running, like you're on the clock paying for it, and you can install missing custom nodes, because you're going to be missing when you load it up. I've already loaded everything in here, but when you first pull in your workflow, it's going to be like, you don't have this, you don't have that. Super annoying, but don't worry. You just come over here and install missing custom nodes. There's going to be a list. You're going to check all of them, and then you're going to click install. Now, mine are already installed, so there's none there. But once you do that, then it might work for you just to hit this little restart UI button and refresh it. It might not. You might have to stop your machine and then start it over again in order for it to recognize that those nodes are installed. The other thing you could do in here is your model manager. You could come here and you could search for the models you're going to need, which is here somewhere. Oh yeah, your list. Boop, boop, boop. All those. And then you could do it that way. But you would be on the clock the whole time that's downloading. What a waste. So I don't recommend that. I would recommend, okay, you come in here, you throw in your workflow, you maybe install the missing custom nodes. creates your ComfUI folder here, and then you're like, okay, save that money, and you hit stop. Boom. Yes, stop it. And then, and then what you can do is now you've got your beautiful ComfUI folder structure here. And you may need to add folders as needed, right? Maybe something's missing in here. And the way you're going to know is when you come over here, and you're like, whoever wrote this tutorial told me exactly where to put everything. So let's pull this out so we can just hop back and forth. I'm in ComfUI. Awesome. I need to go to models and then unit. Okay, well, models is already here. That's great. Is unit here? Yep, it is. But if it wasn't, I would just click new folder and I would type it in exactly as I saw it over here. So for example, one of these was like, oh, it needs to go to models and then ultralytics and then BB box. So I had to add both those folders because it wasn't there. Now it is. But and I typed it, I just copy and pasted exactly. Because with this kind of stuff, if you don't get a exact, I don't know if the folders matter as much, but for a lot of this, like you want it to be exactly what they're saying. Like these models and everything. It needs to be just right, or you could get an error. That being said, sometimes it's worth it to try something, try switching a model to a similar model if for some reason the workflow's not working. That's worked for me. I was getting stuck and I just switched it from, I think the default one was this one here, Flux One Dev FP8. And in the little drop down, I was like, well, let me just try Flux One Dev. And that fixed it for some strange reason. So, anyways, there'll still be a bit of tinkering, perhaps. Um, but I'm going to show you now how to load these models in off the clock. You notice I'm not getting billed for anything right now. I do have this storage space, right, that I'm starting to run out of because I just copied a ton of stuff in here. But you can upload these models into here multiple ways. One, you could find them and then download them to your computer and then upload them here. But that's a bit extra. The other way to do it is you could just click on upload, doop-a-doop, find the link. So here it is. Hopefully this is the right one. I have found there's a couple of these that are a little bit off. It's not actually what it says the path should be. So that was a bummer. So what I did in that case was I just Googled it and found the path. But I think this one's correct. Let's find out. We're gonna come over here, we're gonna paste it, and then you do submit. And oh, there it goes. Okay, I don't want that though. I already have it, so I don't want it to get confused. Do not be confused. So, anyways, well, let's say, for example, let's say one of these was the wrong one, because I did come across that. I know that's not super descriptive or helpful, but let me see if I can give you a better example here. Um, Here we go. So this took me right to this thing that I needed, clip safe tensors. I am not an expert in all this. I don't know what all of this really means, but you would just do copy link address, and then you would come back over here. Now you'd want to make sure you're pasting it. Important, important. Make sure, remember the folder structure. We'll come over here and we're like, okay, clip safe tensors. Where does that one go? Oh, look, it doesn't go under unit. It goes under models clip. So you want to make sure you go to models clip. Again, if this doesn't exist, you make the folder and you just name it clip. And you come in here and you're like, sweet, now I'll upload it. Now I've uploaded things to the wrong place, and that is important because then things won't work right. So then you gotta come over here and you click on move to, and then you just move it. Okay, no problem. Sorry, I think I just hit them. All right. Anyways, so once you do all that, you want to go through and very important, come through, make sure all of these that he recommends are good to go, loaded. Here he's breaking down what to do, but this is the main thing right here. Get that all done. Then now you're ready to rock and roll. Launch new machine. Oh, and he also or she, I don't know who wrote it. I assumed it was Sebastian because he does the video tutorials, but I don't know who actually wrote this one. Um, so there's also a pose sheet here, which you're going to use if you're trying to do the character sheet. But I've also messed around with like changing the pose, which is pretty fun. Let me show you another place, just real quick, where you can grab poses. Uh, pose my art. That is the one, and it's cool. That's really cool. Let me show you why it's cool. See, you can change the angle, you can change all that, And then it's like, oh, pre-made scenes. Yeah, let me just do that. Let's do kick. I think that's the one most of you saw from my Kickstart challenge. So, here's one. I think if you watched, if you saw my LinkedIn post, it was very similar to this. You get your angle, whatever your angle you want. Well, bam, well, bam. Okay, let's say it's like this. Okay, export, boom. And then you can drag it however you want. Now, the combination of these two sites, or like just like comfy, really open pose control net is what I'm trying to say. And this pose my art, very cool. And there's a lot of pose sites, and you might have to tweak it until it gets at an angle that like makes sense for the AI not to get too confused. But you get the idea. You can get the shot you want, and then you can export. I do it with hands because this model actually does, or this workflow actually does really well with hands. And there you go. Now you've got that good to go. And then you've got the one that was recommended with like the character sheet. Cool. All right, now let's get into that actual machine. Here we go. We're going to hop over to Comfy. We're going to go Ultra. And yes, yes, balance, balance. Moving on. They ain't got to wait again. Now you do have the option to put that thing, play a sound when machine is ready. Recommend that because the last thing you want to do is start your machine and get distracted and then have it running and burning up all your dollars. So do that. Yeah. And I think we should be pretty much good to go. Oh, while we're waiting, what else can I tell you? I can tell you about my files. I love talking about the files. Actually, I would rather not talk about the files, to be honest. But it's not all set up for you ahead of time. One day, it'll get there, I hope. But this you're gonna want to know if you're into having custom LoRa's. Let's say I want a picture of myself kicking in the air. I've trained this custom LoRa a while ago, and I had it, and so all I had to do was just drag it, boop, in there, or maybe I guess I clicked upload, right, and then I just took that file, and it's in there, and it's ready to go with my custom LoRa node. So here we go. Let's see if it's, oh, see, 6 seconds. And we're back. Let's see. And now I think I turned off machine sounds on like this recording, so you probably won't hear the little. Aha, there it is. We are in. And it's taking a minute, but we'll get there. Now, I'm not sure if there's a way to change this, right? To change like where it's just always this default workflow. I don't know if you can change your default workflow, but let's you're gonna want to have your JSON ready to go because you're not wasting time. You're grabbing this thing and then you really just pull it, drop it, boom, it's all there. Now, if you're still seeing something missing, you may have to come over here to your manager, and install custom nodes, restart, and all that. But hopefully, you already did that step. Hopefully, you dropped all of your models in the right place, and you'll see what's happening here. First, we got to upload our pose sheet. Uh, yep, there it is. Yes. All right, and it's in there. This is the one that goes with this tutorial. Okay, and this is like the standard for multiple angles, blah blah blah. I don't know. Let's mix this up. The I don't know if you can see my screen super well. Oh, zoomed in quite a bit there. In fact, we can close out our files now because we've discussed that at length. Let's say like the 80-year-old, I guess we'll leave it as American. Why not? Is wearing, let's see what the interpretation of that is wearing a blue coat dressed in, I don't know, summer fashion. We'll mix it up here a little bit. And then we'll leave the rest because we're just trying to show how this thing works. And you'll see there's a whole lot going on here. And as you explore, you'll learn more about this. But you don't need to know it right now. Just click Q and hopefully you've got everything in the right spot and it'll go. And you can kind of see what's happening as this little status bar goes, and different nodes get the green outline on them. And if you get stuck, you'll see kind of where it got stuck when you get your error message, because it's like, okay, we got here and then we got to this one and it stopped working, which is what happened to me actually. I think it was last night, and I ended up switching this unit name. Once this finishes up, I don't want to mess with it while it's about to go to this node. I just switched it from this one to a different one, and it happened to work. Sometimes it works. Certain models have to go with certain things. Everything is a bit particular. So as much as you can, if you can just leave it as the JSON says, that's great. But sometimes you got to start trying to see how to get it to work a little better. So right now it's on this step. Now you'll notice, like, this is a pretty intense model that's running. It's trying to do all kinds of stuff, and it takes a while. It takes a while, even on ultra mode. However, that being said, if I was trying to do this on my laptop, it would take much longer and probably wouldn't work. If I was trying to do the poses and everything and do my custom LoRA, which we haven't shown you yet, but this is just the standard one before putting the special Brandon touch on it of the custom LoRA added in. Um, and if you don't know how to train one yet, maybe you could download one from one of the many websites that lets you download custom LoRa's for characters and whatnot. So anyways, we see here it started. So there she is. There's our character sheet. Cool. And now it's going to work on let's make it even better. And it's going to do all of these things. And oh, you know what we didn't do though? And I don't know why this isn't just like a straight up default, is we didn't add our save node. So you just double click to add a node. Let's see if we can do it quick. Save image. And then you just drag that, boom. And hopefully we did it in time. I think we did. And then it'll save this to our output files, which I'll show you where that is. And then also in step 6, it has, okay, we're going to show you the close-ups of all the different sections of this so you can see if it's a good one or not. And then there's probably a good way after you like it to then save it. But I prefer just to save it all, and then you can go back through and switch it out. But while we're waiting on this to add the details, because what it's doing now, it's done with the main thing, but it's going to make it even fancier, fixing up the face, and so that takes a little bit of time. But if you don't like it for whatever reason, you're like, no, don't waste time fixing the face. You can stop it. Boom, hit that X. And if it doesn't stop, just do it again. And keep doing it until it stops. You see that status thing, and it's like all done. And then you can mess with your prompt and try and get it more to your liking before it wastes more time fixing the face and hands of a picture you don't even like. But this, I kind of like this. This is kind of cool. Look at that. Look at that cool jacket. It's kind of fun. What a character, right? I mean, doesn't that just inspire you? It inspires me. Okay. Files. Yes, files. Oops. Click the wrong button there, I think. Oh no, it just brought me here in a separate tab. So you want to see what you made. You come over here to outputs, comfy, outputs. There they are. There's a bunch of stuff that I've made. Fun. Cool. Cool, cool. Now it does have this strange tendency to like make you shirtless if you're a man. I don't know about women. I don't know what that's about. I guess what it was trained on or whatever. So you can add in, like black shirt. That's what I ended up doing. Black pants, black shoes to make sure that I was fully clothed and appropriate. My goodness. So I recommend that if you want to be LinkedIn appropriate, which I for sure do. Um, anyways, you could see like it's a process. It's doing a lot. It's doing a lot. And if I had tried to do this on my laptop, I don't think it would have made it. I don't think it would have happened. Maybe it would have after like an hour, perhaps. But what it's doing now, it's doing the face detailer pipe, whatever that means. But we can assume it's got something to do with adding some details to the face. All this stuff here. And once you dive into it, you could probably refine all those settings to your liking, but I'm pretty happy with them. And this is why, like you're watching it, and if it's not one you like, don't wait for your face stuff to get all fixed up, right? And then I can queue it up. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna show you how we can load our custom post. And to me, this is exciting. So this is different than the custom lore, right? This is just like we're gonna stick with this, whoever it thinks this lady is the next time, it probably, won't look like the same lady, but maybe somewhat similar, but in a very specific pose is what we're doing. So now, and we'll see how it does with this angle, right? This is a bit of a confusing angle. And now this time, it should have her in this position. And hopefully it won't take quite as long this time because we're only going to have the one face. And again, it won't be the same exact lady because we didn't train a custom LoRA to be this lady. Um, I don't think it'll be the same lady. Oh, you know what I forgot to do though? Hold on. Hold on. Stop here. Here's an example of stopping. See, we found out pretty quickly what was happening here. You know what we didn't do? We got to change this from being character sheet, multiple views, multiple angles, visible face, portrait. We're just gonna get rid of all this because we're not doing a character sheet anymore. Even though that was the start of the tutorial, now we're gonna say, um, any old woman is wearing it just in a summer fashion. Is we're just gonna say kicking is kicking. Okay. All right. And all right, this is a little strange. I don't like it. Stop. Stop. Try again. And I think it might be this specific pose that I did. Um, definitely not 80. I don't really like the way that's like a weird leg thing going on. It got confused with my pose. So I stopped it. I'm like, don't mess with the details. Let's just try again. Oh, there we go. That's kind of fun. Leg's a little long, but that's probably the angle I picked. And now it's going to try and fix up these hands and face. I mean, the face is already pretty good, but it's doing upscaling. And that's what's taking the time. Upscale and fix. Ultimate SD upscale. And then it's going to do the face detailer. And then over here, I've got it. I'm hoping it actually saves this time. I mean, I've got the node there when I started, so we're checking out our output. It did work. Lovely. And there she is. Wha-bam! Doing her kick. Inspiring. What did I tell you? Inspiring. Okay, dokies. All right. So, you're like, Brandon, I did not come here to see this kick. I came here to see how I can do a custom LoRA and a character sheet. Oh, okay. Let's do that then. Ah, okay, here we go with LoRA. So I've already made the workflow. I'm not gonna go through all the steps again. I've got it. If you want it, send me a message, or it's pretty simple. You come in here and you add a node. You double click. You say load LoRA, and you click it, and it shows up. And then you select the LoRA you want, which is the one that you uploaded, your custom one, right? So it's the one that you dragged and dropped if you've made one into, Comfy, and then where is it? Models LoRA, I think, right? Yeah, there it is. LoRa's, boom. And you dropped it, boom, right there. That's all you need to do. Then you can just click it right here. Now, there are a few connections that you're gonna need to know about, but it's pretty straightforward. You just take the connection from your dual clip loader and put it in clip. You take the connection from your load diffusion model and drop it in model. Now I moved these over to the side. They were over here. Okay. So you can, zoom in and out with your mouse wheel, or I guess over here. That would be tedious. And then you take your model and you connect it. Where did it connect to? Over here to model sampling flux. This is from your load LoRa. And you take your clip and you load it into your clip text encode. This is where you're typing your prompt. Okay, and it's a character sheet. It's me. Um, my my trigger word here is MBF. That's me. With a shaved head and large beard. Sometimes it's like you need more hair, and it'll add it to you. Or if it makes you too fit, which it does for me, but I just leave that part. But you could mess with it if you want. So let's see. I'm gonna wear. I don't want a Gucci coat anymore. I'm gonna be wearing Patagonia. Patagonia close. And I was repping Flow Fidelity because that's my lo-fi channel on YouTube. If you're looking for good lo-fi, I do generate it with various tools, AI tools. Uh, he is wearing a Patagonia shirt. Remember, gotta get that shirt on there. Shirt and Patagonia pants. And then I'm gonna get rid of all this extra. I don't think we need that. Sometimes less is better. All right, and we're gonna cue it. There it goes. There it goes. And you'll know pretty quick if you connected something to the wrong place because you'll get an error message. But if you just want this JSON file and don't want to remember these connections, send me a message on LinkedIn. It's a small file. It's no problem. Yeah. So this is running. While this is running, let me tell you about some things. One is you can run Comfy a lot of different places, a lot of different ways. I'm using Think Diffusion, and if you want to use Think Diffusion, I can get you a promo code where if you're signing up for TD Pro, you get a certain percent off if you use the link from me. If you want that, let me know. I don't remember exactly how much it is. It's like 20%, I believe. Um, yeah, yeah. If you want to do that, it's not perfect. And sometimes the best thing to do is turn it off and turn it on again. So I'm stopping this machine. It's clearly not doing anything. I'm not sure what happened there. I'm just gonna stop the whole machine. Yes, stop it. That'll stop charging me on that one. And so I'm launching another machine. And like I said, you could have multiple ones going at the same time if you wanted. Okay, so we're back. And part of the issue was that this model that was from the workflow in that tutorial that I downloaded, it's not the right model. It needs to be it needs to be flux1-dev, not the other one that was in the default workflow. So I had to go over into ComfUI models and unit, and then click upload and paste the link for that Flux dev. And that link was over here. So I went over there, right clicked, copy link address, and I came back over here, clicked upload, and I stopped my machine so it wasn't using the time. Which apparently I found out you only have access to your files when your machine's not running if you're a TD Pro member. So keep that in mind. A lot of the advice that I've said about that only applies if you're a TD Pro member. So yeah, I don't think I could even get the regular consistent character one to work without fixing that. Okay, so now we're gonna go back to where were we? We were me in a Patagonia shirt, right? Patagonia shirt and pants. So now it's working so much better.